What is up, my fellow mobile gamers? In today's video, we got our best builds for
the Berserker class.
Before we get started, make sure you guys and girls are subscribed to the channel, notification bell so you don't miss a video when we live stream. Hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed these builds. All right, let's jump into this. We got 3 builds. There's a bunch of different builds for the Berserker, but I just picked out 3 that I think are pretty good. The 3 builds that we are going to be talking about are the self-heal, the burst, and the heavy CC for PvP. Take a look at the self-heal first. So we're going to start off with a Boomerang's blood letter. Give us 15% healing for each target hit. Relatively long cooldown, unfortunately 12 seconds. We then have destructive charge bloodbath, which again is going to give us 10% healing for each target. It's a full charge, deals damage 1 more time to surrounding enemies. This build is particularly good for PvE and can be good for large scale PvP battles such as Guild Wars. Then we also have Earth's Core Impact Bloodthirst. So this is one of my favorites because we become invincible when the skill is active. So that means we take no damage at all, and we gain 15% healing for each target hit. And then finally, we finish it up with Whirlwind Chop Storm. This is one of my favorite abilities. It's very amazing AoE damage. Your Berserker just spins in a circle with his axe and you can move him around, just hits tons of targets. But the most important thing to take from this is our Boomerang skill set will be reduced by 0.1 second for each target hit. You can hit a ton of targets with this ability, and because of that, it will then reset our Boomerang's blood letter faster, so that way we can get this off and get more healing. Really good for PvE content, for like dungeons and stuff when you just want to have a lot of survivability. And it's also great if you do not have a priest or a sage or any class that has regular healing. So this kind of lets you play solo by yourself because you're getting that constant heal off as well. For the mastery, there's 2 different ones we're going to go and particularly look at. First one is destructive charge skill set damage increase. We're going to dump a bunch of points into this. We're going to get this to 5. That way unlock this one. Destructive charge skill set own damage is increased by 2% for 4 seconds, and it stacks up to 8 times. So you can put out a tremendous amount of damage. And then we're going to lower the cooldown. The other one that we really want to take a look at is our spinning axe one, our tornado. So we're going to take this because it's going to increase our speed. So that means you can move around faster. I'll demonstrate in 1 second so you can get a better understanding. But the main thing we're looking for is the Whirlwind Chop skill set range increase by 1. So increasing this by 1, it means that we can hit more enemies that are further away. So we can just go around, hit a ton of enemies, reduce our cooldown for our other ability. That way we can just keep spamming it and getting off more heals. So I'm going to show you really quick what that ability looks like when you click right here. This is just tremendous amounts of AoE damage. And then we have our other abilities where, again, you're just going to be doing that constantly. It's a good ranged ability to get off the self-heals. All right, now let's take a look at the burst build. This is going to focus on triggering our burst effect. And what the burst effect does is we will deal 30% fire physical damage to surrounding enemies within 4 yards. There's also some other abilities that I just want to talk about briefly because I know they removed the description of it, so I'm just going to briefly go over that real quick. Frail. So this ability right here says inflict enemy with frail. What frail does is received damage is increased by 10% for the enemy. So it means if you land this ability and they get frail on them, they will take 10% more damage. There's also invincibility, which means you're just unaffected by any damage. And then there's also the throw axe. Form a throw axe shadow beneath struck enemy's feet. What throw axe shadow does is it deals 30% non-elemental physical damage to surrounding enemies within 4 yards every half of a second. I just wanted to go over that because I know they removed the description, so it can be really hard to understand, like, what does this particular ability do. So here we go. We got our burst one. So again, we're focusing a lot on doing this fire physical damage. So we're going to take Earth Cracking Wave Burst, which is going to be around us, and then we're going to trigger burst on each enemy hit. And then we have Frenzied Slash Burst, so we're going to again trigger burst on each enemy hit. This is a frontal fan area. We're going to do Earth's Core Impact, another burst. Become invincible when skill is active, one of my favorites. We take no damage. Trigger burst on each enemy hit again. And then finally, we finish up with one of the most
devastating
abilities for the Berserker. And I would probably argue that no matter what build you do, you should always have this ability in your build. I didn't put it in the self-heal build in particular, but you can definitely swap this ability in if you want. Just because this is an absolutely amazing ability. This does crazy amounts of damage. Supernatural Lunge Overwhelm. Skill range is a straight line, does a ridiculous amount of fire physical damage, and the skill has a 25% crit rate. So that means we're a really high chance that we hit. Our crit rate goes off, and because of that, our class specialty, if you'll notice, all dealt crit damage is increased by 15%. Now let's take a real quick look at the mastery, because again we are focusing on the burst, which is going to trigger lots of fire physical damage. We're going to prioritize going over to Earth's Core Impact skill set. Crit damage increased by a percentage. We'll max this out. We got it at 15%. But this is the most important one, is our fire class skill damage will be permanently increased by a percentage, maxing out at 20%. Everything is going to be triggering burst. All our abilities, every time it hits someone, they're going to get bursts. They're going to take fire damage. After that, then you would mostly, again, just want to focus on your abilities, your skills, and lowering their cooldowns. Build is particularly good for both PvP and PvE. Again, though, for PvP, I would say it's more for large-scale PvP. So stuff like Guild Wars, or even the Hellfire as well. Finally, we're going to take a look at our heavy CC build. This build in particular is really good for stuff like arena, like solo 1v1 PvP, because we're just going to constantly trigger slows on our opponent, stun them, and then finish them up with our big heavy crit damage. All right, so first up, we're going to take Destructive Charge Shatter Frost. We're going to inflict our enemy with slowdown for 4 seconds, making it harder for them to get away from us. We then have Frenzied Slash Shock, which is going to inflict the enemy with stun for 1.5 seconds. Our big, amazing skill that does plus 25% crit rate, does tons of fire physical damage. And then finally, we finish it off with another slow Boomerang's Ice Cracker. Inflict enemy with slowdown for 4 seconds. So the main combo behind this is you want to slow your opponent down so that they can't get away from you. Then you want to stun them so that they pretty much can't move or do anything. And then once they are stunned, then you can hit them with your huge supernatural lunge and just do tons and tons of damage. And you just kind of recycle that over and over again. So you have 2 slows. That way you can just constantly keep slowing them down. It makes this ability a lot easier to get off because it can be dodged by particularly a good player. A good player can dodge this. This is basically built around this. For our mastery, we're obviously going to power that up, juice it up to the max. We're going to take our supernatural lunge skill set damage increase, max this out plus 10%. Then we're going to increase our range by 1, again making it easier for us to hit our opponents. And then finally, we're going to reduce our cooldown as well. And then after you have all that stuff maxed out, again, you would just go through here, look at your skills that you have, Frenzied Slash, so on and so forth, and then you would just pick those and build those out accordingly. But that is it for today, folks. I hope you guys and girls enjoyed this video. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we will be back very soon with our Necromancer build. I know a lot of people are excited for the Necromancer class. Stay happy, stay safe, my friends. I'll see y'all later. Peace.